I'm proud to say that a young company like TurboHire, just within 3 years, is able to sell to PwC India for its recruitment automation. While our GTM is focused only on India and Southeast Asia, customers are buying us in India and taking us across the world.
Hi, Deepak. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Nikhil, and nice to meet you on this conversation about TurboHire on the Grip Invest platform.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Deepak, for joining in and doing this recorded session with us. As you are aware, we have created an opportunity for our users to participate in an equity investment opportunity with TurboHire. We're very excited to bring a SaaS opportunity to our users. At the same time, we wanted them to understand much more in detail about your business, and it's always better to hear it from the founder. We're going to try to structure the next 35-40 minutes into questions that our users typically ask us. A lot of this information is already available on our website, but we wanted to make sure they hear it from you. Yeah.
Great.
Would have to have you start with a little bit of background about yourself, as well as your founding team. I believe you're 4 co-founders. Would love to hear their background and how you all got together to start TurboHire.
Great. So I'm Deepak Agrawal. I'm a 92 graduate from IIT Delhi. Worked in SR Steel in Surat for about 3 years, did 2 years of MBA. Worked in PwC for 3 years as management consultant, moved to Infosys and did 6 years of key account management and sales for Infosys, mostly in Bay Area. Built some great relationships and therefore had a company, a startup in US in CRM analytics space from 2006 till 2010. Company did well, mostly because of my 3 other American partners. I learned in that phase. Company got acquired by another bigger American company. So in 2010, I had an exit. And by then, I had set up company's India office here in Hyderabad, a tech office. So post-acquisition, I was in Hyderabad, met the Dean of ISB, Mr. Ajit Rangnekar. And he made me join ISB as head of learning and development. And that's where I worked for about 8.5 years. During those 8.5 years, I understood the problem of hiring because every year I used to see the hiring process of about 200 companies on campus, be it Google, Microsoft, Flipkart, Amazon, Capillary Technologies, Reliance Group, Aditya Birla Group, Accenture, and many of them. Secondly, I was interacting very deeply with the 900 students on ISB campus every year. And one thing which I saw as a huge gap is that while there was technology to automate the process is that the student will apply, company will shortlist, company will schedule 1 round, 2nd round, 3rd round of interviews, and then they will give an offer. It's very easy to observe the process and automate it, and that's where the entire HR technology is stuck. What people were not paying attention to, why some people get hired and why some people get rejected. Okay, that's the fundamental aspect. And to a slow guy like me, I took 8.5 years to understand the fundamentals of the problem, and I'm going to show you. So let me explain to you what is 2 generational ahead kind of technology we have built. If you take this CV of a candidate, he has studied in Vellore Institute of Technology. Now this college name can be written in myriad different number of ways. This degree name can be written in very many different ways. Okay. This school, Indian School of Business, can be written as ISB, ISB Hyderabad, ISB Mohali, in many different ways. The keyword-based approach will not bring out this candidate if you search with ISB, because there is no name like ISB. Okay. Similarly, you can understand Tata Consultancy Services. You can understand a reader as a recruiter, that what this person is capable of, but you will not know what is the meaning of working for 6 years in this company called Wide. And this candidate is not explaining anything about Wide in this CV itself. Now, if you think about it, there are a lot of people who get into interview rooms and get rejected in 10 minutes because you say this guy will not fit in my company because he or she is from a irrelevant company background. Now, if I can add this information from outside, that Wide is a water treatment technology company in Saudi Arabia, suddenly the value of the CV is changed. You can understand whether you should interview this person in a pharma company or in a technology company. The irrelevance can be done by technology rather than doing very expensive 2 rounds of interview and schedule. Okay. Second thing which I understood was that the entire industry is stuck on these keywords which are in orange called Zendex, Confluence, and Zira. These are tools. But the CV has very powerful linguistic information like verbs which are in red. There are impact metric like 300 plus in green and impact qualifiers which are in blue. Why are we ignoring everything else other than orange? Okay. Now, if we can build an algorithm which works also on these verbs in red, qualifiers in blue, and numbers in green, metaphorically speaking, I can say that while there may be a keyword called hammer, by other words, I can say who is a carpenter, who is a plumber, who is an electrician. By the way, you are doing those interviews to first identify whether this guy is a plumber or not, and should I spend time on this person or not. Okay. Industry is wasting too many precious executive hours because the recruiters are too young to know who can do what. Technology is highly deficient, doesn't tell you who can do what. Okay, while there may be keywords like Zendex, Confluence, or Zira, like hammer, screwdriver, and all. So what can you do with a screwdriver is more important than a screwdriver itself. Okay, so this is an algorithm which we built, and we can find out through the linguistic patterns who is a shift in charge, who is an ICU nurse, who is a developer, who is a tester, who is a sales executive, who is a business analyst. Therefore, you do 2/3 fewer interviews. This is the technology we built, and this technology has been put into a end-to-end recruitment platform. So once I had conceptualized these things about what needs to be built in the platform, I went ahead and created a team to be able to do it. So other co-founders are Aman, who is a 2016 graduate from IIT Bombay Com Science, 3 years in Microsoft. Abhishek, who is 2013 IIT Bombay Com Science, 2 years in Samsung and 4 years in Google. He made Google Pay there. Okay. Gaurav is NIT Trichy, 5 years in Microsoft. He worked on platforms like Visio Online and MSN. Rakesh is IIT Bombay Com Science, 3 years in Microsoft. He built Visual Studio Online. Abhit is IIT Kanpur, a data scientist for us, 4 years in Fractal. Sean is ISP graduate, second time entrepreneur, and he is our marketing head. And Fahad is second time entrepreneur with recruitment system selling experience globally. Sunil is IIT Madras and I am Shillong, and he is an expert B2B salesperson. And Riddhi takes care of our people success after 4 years of experience in Cipla. The company is fully staffed in terms of its leadership. Every process of marketing, sales, product development, customer onboarding, customer success. And I'm proud to say that a young company like TurboHire, just within 3 years, is able to sell to PwC India for its recruitment automation. It is being used by Grey Orange in India, Sweden, and US for its recruitment automation. And it is being used by Tavant Technologies in India and US. While our GTM is focused only on India and Southeast Asia, customers are buying us in India and taking us across the world. We have really created a differentiated platform, and customers are integrating TurboHire over their HRMS like SuccessFactor or Workday or many of these Darwin box, where the world has changed and automation and AI is the need. So this is the introduction.
No, that's a fantastic introduction, and for someone who spends as a senior team about 50 to 60 hours every week, 2 to 3 man days every week simply doing interviews, I can understand the power of the proposition. It's close to home. And the challenge that you spoke about are exactly the challenge that we face as a company. Obviously, our recruitment requirements are not the same as a PwC or a gray orange, but even at a smaller scale, the percentage of problem is the same, right? And the percentage of the hours spent is exactly the same. Congratulations, Deepak. I think a phenomenal team, and as a founder, I can understand the challenges of being able to attract, retain, and motivate people who this impressive a team. But congratulations on putting it together. Maybe a few questions to simplify, or to as a next step of what this solution means and how it sits, right? Because you mentioned that you work with companies like Darwin Box. Does it sit as part of, as an addition to their HRMS tool, and you already have partnerships with Darwin Box to integrate APIs? Does it sit as a completely independent tool? How does that work?
Yeah, so let me first explain what is the need of TurboHire in the market. Okay, when customer needs it and it is ready to pay for it, the ecosystem will have to align itself. Okay, no matter whether you are Darwin Box, SuccessFactor, or TurboHire, or anybody. Okay, first thing is the audience would commiserate that organizations are receiving far too many resumes in their job pipelines. Okay, with the remote work possible, location constraint gone, recruitment being fully digital now, people can access jobs on their smartphones and they start applying. So you are receiving too many candidates in a job pipeline. Going through those resumes manually is simply not possible. You have to have a sensible AI. Okay. Second is that a recruiter sits in the middle of the company. She has thousands of candidates in the outside world, and she has hundreds of people inside the organization who do round 1, round 2, round 3 of interviews. And all of these guys are on smartphones and broadbands and social media today. Okay. And no candidate converts and or agrees to join a company just by talking to the recruiter. They need to talk to, if talent is serious, they will need to talk to the reporting manager, hiring manager, etc. So engagement has become very, very key, and that requires automation. Okay. Lastly, what we need today is a platform, not just tools. One job requires posting on LinkedIn, another job requires posting on Hirist, another job requires posting on IIM Jobs if you are hiring for a sales leader. Now, and another job requires, another tool is required to send emails, another tool is required to send WhatsApp messages for engagement. Now, you can't work with itsy bitsy tools here and there. You need a platform where all these activities are assimilated. Okay. So TurboHire is a platform with all the process of hiring, all the automation of hiring, and all the needed intelligence in a single box in 10 modules. Now, we target companies who are mid to mid-large segment and who have perpetual hiring. Every week on week, they have thousands of CVs, hundreds of interviews, hundreds of offer letters, and all that. So many of the companies like NovoPay, Tata Business Hub, or Z Networks, they use TurboHire as an end-to-end platform, standalone. Okay. When the companies become bigger, they also have an HRMS like Darwin Box or SuccessFactor or Workday. There we have an integration play. And we have built, like everything automated, pre-built integration hooks with the HRMS. So if you are a smaller company, but perpetual hiring, you use TurboHire end-to-end, okay, and pay us handsomely for that. If you are a bigger company, but in need of recruitment automation, yes, you have an HRMS, but with pre-built hooks, you will start using TurboHire with your HRMS. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. Could you talk a little bit about the current commercial model that you have with companies who use TurboHire either directly or via a HRMS solution?
Right. So, so these are the companies who are using it. We have 95 plus enterprises using it in India, Southeast Asia, and many countries like Sweden and South Africa and other places. But our GTM is focused on India and Southeast Asia. That's where we spend money to generate leads. It doesn't mean that the product cannot be used in other countries. Okay. The market today of recruitment automation is about 11 billion and will grow to 17 billion in 5 years' time. You know how much companies are struggling to hire people. Okay. Uh,
Hiring is
Now,
never going out of fashion. So,
yeah,
yeah,
and it needed more technology because of those three factors I talked about: change in environment. So we charge TurboHire on a hybrid model. Okay. The first is we charge a fixed monthly platform usage fee or enrollment fee. Over that, if you have 15 recruiters, then you buy 15 recruiter licenses. Okay. And that model is very good for the mid-size enterprises of 10, 15, 20 recruiters. Okay. When you have a bigger company, an enterprise, there is a no limit usage of the platform, and they pay higher fixed monthly platform usage fee, and then they pay for 70, 80 recruiters licenses on top of it. So for enterprise plan, I can say it is 75,000 rupees as a platform enrollment fee, plus if you have 80 recruiters, 80 multiplied by 7,500 rupees per recruiter per month. That's our revenue model.
understood. Thanks for that, Deepak. And just, maybe one of the things you mentioned twice now actually was about how your focus is India. Given your previous success of a venture in the US, the adoption of such platforms and a much larger market outside, especially in the US, is that a focus for growth?
Uh, the focus for growth is yes, but uh, the experience also makes you more realistic at times. Uh, at when we are doing this pre-series A, we are making the company ready with the global case studies, etc. The GTM in US market is creates high growth, but is also very expensive. Okay. So we will launch our GTM in the US market with the Series A in the first half of next year. You need to have few $1 million worth of marketing budget to be able to do successful, sustained, and measurable GTM in the US market. Yes,
Understood.
market is big, market has profitability, but it's also bloody expensive
Yeah,
to win in that market. And unless until you have $2 to $4 million for your GTM, you are not going to make a dent in that market.
fair
It's
enough.
a yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a requirement to focus at an early stage of the business, and you know that better than anyone else. So happy to hear that. Maybe just moving on, you briefly touched upon the clients that you have, but if you could share a broad profile of whether they break up into largely the enterprise plan, they break up into using it via an HRMS solution. Also interesting is, you have a very low churn rate. If you could to talk through some of those metrics on the client side, would be very interesting to hear.
Right. So fundamentally, as I said, we focus on companies who are in perpetual hiring. Okay, they need to be able to drive value out of sourcing automation, screening automation, interview automation, offer letter automation, so that overall, what CEO cares about is how fast are you filling my positions so that I can get to my revenue top line or a product launch milestones. Okay, that's why you hire people. Okay. Uh, in that segment, in the early phase of we finding the product market fit, we were mostly acquiring mid-sized companies like Tata Business Hub, Z Networks, NovoPay, GoNeo, and several of them, which were in the $10 to $15,000 per annum ACV. Once we matured, and then we built our additional enterprise capability. Like bigger enterprises need you to be ISO 27001 certified. They need you to be GDPR compliant. They need you to be SOC 2 compliant. You need to be able to give equal employment opportunity compliances. Okay. So we have about 10 customers who are enterprise, like PwC, ICICI Bank, Grey Orange, and that pipeline is building very, very fast. Again, look at the GTM in two parts. The mid enterprises you can acquire through the digital marketing. But when it comes to the enterprise, you need to have a distribution model, because those CHROs or those CXOs do not search for products on internet. They work with their consultants like TCS, Wipro, PwC India and all. They recommend the enterprise solutions. So we have also built our distribution model with these consulting companies so that we can penetrate deeper and faster in the true enterprise segment. Okay. Now, why our churn is low is that an enterprise application like TurboHire, which is used week on week, month on month, we sign up a 3-year contract, minimum 300 contract. Okay. We have made onboarding low touch. Okay. Because if we have so much of automation to use our platform, we have automated a lot of our onboarding also. We are not a company which takes 6 months to implement TurboHire. We take 3 weeks to implement TurboHire. Okay. And the moment this recruiter starts to derive that value, you are set in the organization for 3 years. Okay. And therefore the churn is low. Okay. As I said, that majority of our customers are mid enterprise, but very quickly we are telescoping into the enterprise segment. So we have in our pipeline customers like Microland, Scient, some of these companies who each will be $100,000 plus on an ACV or TCV side.
Understood. Deepak, one of the questions that naturally comes to mind is thinking about competition and sort of the lay of the land for other companies who are doing similar services like automation. Does that exist? What do you see in the market when you go to some of these clients?
Having built a startup in US, okay, I am very clear that no matter how good you are an athlete in 100-meter race, there are 7 guys running behind you. And they are running behind you by nanosecond fraction. Always. So if I tell my audience that there is no competition, I am deluding myself. Okay. There is always competition. What matters is that you can run faster than the 7 of them. Okay, and stay ahead of them.
Okay. In fact, if there was no competition, it would be scary.
It will be scary that are you in the wrong place?
Absolutely.
Are you in the wrong stadium? Okay.
Yeah.
or you are running in a godforsaken place, there is no civilization. Then that running doesn't mean anything. Okay. So fundamentally, there have been players in this space since 1996. Okay. So Taleo came in 1996, iSIMS came in 1999, SuccessFactor in 2001, Workday in 2005. But that was the era when the workflow was built, like we built the accounting systems for banks. Okay, it was digitization, but only a workflow. Come 2010 and 2020, there was a smartphone, there was 4G, there was email, there was SMS, there was some bit of WhatsApp. So people started to automate that. Rather than sending 1 email at a time, you can send 100 emails in one go to all 100 applicants. Okay. But let's like misusing your communication capability. Okay. What is true of today is that we consider Seekout and Eightfold as our 2 truly intelligent competitors. Okay. Which means that first find out 15 good people among 100 applicants and send WhatsApp to only those 15 candidates. You having WhatsApp doesn't mean that you spam all 100. Okay. you should have decency and intelligence to identify 15 first who you would like to engage with, and then automate. And this is what is the new category, that is AI powered recruitment automation. And this space, Nikhil, has seen, okay, almost $1 billion worth of investment in the last 12 months. So you need to be, so this chart needs to be looked at bottom up now. That you need to have intelligence, find those 15 candidates, best candidates first. With them, you do interview automation. Don't do interview for all 100 people and tire your business out. Okay. All 100 interviews are not necessary. You have to do 15 good interviews. You have to engage with those 15 candidates, and you should be sourcing good candidates from the relevant places. Okay. All candidates cannot come from Naukri. Your leadership will come from Indeed and IIM jobs. Your CXOs will come from LinkedIn or referrals. Okay. Your developers will come from Naukri and Monster. Your frontline sales may come from Monster. Okay. But you should be cognizant enough that this is what you need to do in your sourcing. Okay. Just putting every job on Naukri and expecting that people will apply, relevant people will apply, is a wrong expectation by itself.
Absolutely. And I think that,
and then there is a process.
The effort that you have to spend apart from money in processing all of those applicants is actually the bigger cost that companies face. And then fatigue will cause you to maybe make a wrong hire as well, right?
Yes. Well said. Fatigue is the key thing. Okay. How much are overworked the business side people? Because they say we will work hard to hire for my company, but it's not necessary to do 100 interviews. 15 good interviews are enough to do 2 hires, for that matter. And then there is a process. Okay. So everything has to happen in a company by process, but the outcomes come because of intelligence and relevant automation. Okay. And that's what TurboHire in a box is. Now, it's something very interesting that COVID has helped us. Okay. That people have started to relook and reassess their HR technology. And because of that, our mid enterprises digital marketing is working very well, because people are looking to and questioning their HR technology itself. They are asking consultants for better solutions. And that's where Wipro and Infosys are recommending TurboHire for that transformation solution. And hence, we are very excited that by end of this year, in next 6 months' time, our top line will almost double to $1.5 to $2 million in ARR, which is, for a B2B company, it goes slightly slower and then creates profitable growth. Okay. We are not a company which is going to continue to burn cash to acquire customers. Okay.
Absolutely.
And 20 enterprise logos creates a far bigger brand and therefore profitability. Okay. Unlike EdTech or something where you keep burning money to keep getting customers which keep leaving you.
No, that's, I think, the real beauty of B2B enterprise SaaS businesses, in the terms of the way they can get to profitability. I think and a lot of the product development happens upfront, which is where you have a lot of the burn as you acquire your first slate of customers. A lot of that then becomes conversations and leads you to acquire them. And as long as you can keep your churn low, profitability is fairly near term. That's the experience we've had.
So I think we become EBITDA positive in July 2023.
Correct.
We start showing 1% EBITDA positivity in July 2023 itself. I think the second biggest part of B2B product is building credibility around your product.
Yeah.
It is about the articulation of the problem. It is about impact your solution creates, not the technology, the impact it creates. When we can very powerfully say to our customers who are in enterprise zone and who have used different technologies for last 15 years that we will cut 75% of your time to hire, and we will improve your quality of hire by 3x, and give it to them after 3 months of usage of the platform. That builds credibility, that creates references, and that logo retention brings you 10 more enterprise customers and more profitable.
100%. I mean, this is a long sales process, right? It's a long sales cycle that can only be shortened by referral. When you ride on someone else's credibility to say, okay, fine, use TurboHire. I've used it, I've experienced it, and you can implement it. No question about that.
Yeah. So my Ruby at Acolyte wholeheartedly recommended TurboHire to Microland. Okay, as you rightly said, it is. And then once you have those many enterprise logos with you, then you need not have further reference.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you've seen that journey in a way at Infosys, in a slightly different, obviously a very different business segment, more services than software. But yeah, it tends to play out the same way as long as you can get those customer references.
Yeah.
Deepak, maybe last question from me, coming back to your round, right? The one that we are enabling for our users to participate. First of all, congratulations on raising commitments, especially in this environment. There are some great names from which you have got commitments to lead the round. Would love for you to just talk through it. And you've already talked about where the business is in July 23, where you see the ARR growing, but maybe you could tell us where this round gets you to.
Yeah. So this round, first of all, is being subscribed by our existing lead investors, Pentathlon. Okay, they are putting double of their pro rata in this round, which is a phenomenal show of confidence. Okay. Second, it is being led by Chennai Angels, and with their firms appointed for FDD and LDD, both are complete. By this Wednesday, we will get the DD reports on both FDD and LDD. More exciting is that the founder of my largest customer is joining the round because of the value we have delivered to his company, where 80 recruiters use TurboHire every day, and we have really cut down his time to hire by 75%. And business is first time happy in contributing to the process of recruiting for the company. So Leela Kaza is investing. Okay.
Fantastic.
Another gentleman, Padma Shri and founder of Cyient, BVR Mohan Reddy. He knows about TurboHire story and the way we are engaging at Cyient. Okay. So he is investing. Okay. So round is near about complete, FDD complete. And we should be signing the SHA and SSA by 10th of July and take this round to closure. Once this round is closed at the valuation of 73.5 CR pre-money, about 89 CR at post-money, because we will be building a revenue pipeline of 1.5 to 2 million by December 2022, we will be ready for a Series A, which will be at 3 to 4 times multiple of current valuation. So the investor investing now would see a 3 to 4 times valuation jump in the money they invest in about 12 months time. I'm being humble to say that I might close the Series A by, say, April, May, June of 2023. Okay.
Understood.
So that's the
perfect. Okay. No, it sounds good, and it's a pleasure to participate and partner with you on this. Thank you so much for taking time to do this session. Wishing you all the very best and look forward to staying connected.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. Pleasure meeting you and pleasure interacting with you.